Welcome to the third session in our Moving from WorkFlowMax to WorkGuru series. This series is designed for WorkFlowMax users who want to get up and running in WorkGuru as quickly as possible by simply migrating their WorkFlowMax data into WorkGuru. The intent of this third session is to finalize the setup so you can go live with WorkGuru successfully. This session assumes that you have completed the setup and migration tasks in session 1 and confirmed and updated the migrated data as detailed in session 2. The final step to completing the migration from WorkFlowMax is to configure your document templates. Unfortunately, these are not available to be migrated automatically from WorkFlowMax. You can configure your document templates from Administration Document Templates, which will provide the library of document templates set up in WorkGuru. You'll see that we have a list of template examples within WorkGuru already. You can simply brand these examples and they are pretty much ready to use immediately. However, if you have a custom suite of templates that we're using in WorkFlowMax, these need to be moved over and set up in WorkGuru. The document template functionality in WorkGuru is very similar to WorkFlowMax and in Xero in regards to using the Microsoft Word .docx format with an associated library of document template fields. The big difference between WorkGuru and WorkFlowMax is that it's a bit simpler to use in that we don't use the Microsoft Word merge fields, we use flat text with denoted by square brackets. In our support portal, we have a full comprehensive template field library that details every single field that's available to be used on your WorkGuru templates. To move across your existing template library from WorkFlowMax, there are two options. Option 1 is to download your templates as Word documents from WorkFlowMax, which you can then open and simply replace the WorkFlowMax fields with the equivalent fields as per the WorkGuru document template library. For example, I can replace the contact name on this quote with the equivalent field as per our field library. It's important when converting WorkFlowMax templates that you remove completely the word merge field format. Just as in Microsoft Word and WorkFlowMax, any of the formatting, be it bold, text type, text size, is all determined specifically by the formatting in the Word document itself. So as you can see, pretty straightforward, essentially going through all of your document templates and literally switching out the WorkFlowMax fields to the equivalent fields from WorkGuru. The other option you have is to edit our existing template library as part of our document template information available in our in our support portal. We also have a whole suite of additional quote, invoice, purchase order, etc. templates that you can download and modify as required. To do that, as an example, editing our quote and our invoice templates that are available already within WorkGuru itself is a simple matter of downloading the template, which we can then open in Microsoft Word. As you'll see, the actual template structure and formatting is very similar to WorkFlowMax and your templates in Xero. So if you've edited either of those, it's quite easy to onboard those templates into WorkGuru. Simple matter of moving the fields over to the WorkGuru compatible fields. The templates themselves are based off generally around hidden tables, which help with the layout. Highly recommend, if you don't have already, to expose those hidden tables with your Microsoft Word settings. And from there, as an example, this is our default quote template. Basically, all you would technically need to do if you want to use our existing template format is brand that by functionally adding logos, etc. to that document. Example of downloading our invoice template and then opening that invoice template. You can see very similar format to what you've been used to. As you can see in this particular invoice template, we have a payment section down below that's designed to be personalized or branded as per your requirements. Simple matter of either putting flat text or the merge fields in as discussed. Again, simplest way to get documents up and running in WorkGuru is basically just branding them with your logo, etc. Just going to drop that into the wrong section. But as before, all of the formatting is specifically denoted by the Word document itself. The only thing specific to WorkGuru is the relevant template fields. Once you've complete, it's a simple matter of saving that document. In this case, downloading a copy because I'm using an online tool. Going back into our WorkGuru, clicking on the relevant document template. And in this case, I'm overriding the one that's already there. Select the file, select the new quote template, and click Save. And that will then update that quote. If you are bringing across your WorkFlowMax templates, it's a similar process. However, if I don't want to override an existing template that's there, so obviously I can have multiple quote templates, multiple invoice templates, etc. I would just add a document template, select the correct document it is, that's the most important part. That ensures that the correct merge fields will be displayed correctly. And again, select the updated document and save. This will give me the ability when I go to that particular document, if I am printing or emailing that particular document, you'll note that it only will display, in this case, the quote will only display the quote templates. And you'll end up, just like in WorkFlowMax, a library of templates of different formatting for the specific reasons that you need them to suit your workflow. As you can see here, we can also download our templates as a PDF document and directly as a Word document as well. So it doesn't convert it over to a PDF. When I go to email, and this is a quote example, but basically all of the functions around invoicing, sending purchase orders, credit notes, etc. is all the same. You can see you essentially choose the template and then choose the relevant or enter the relevant recipients. And if you hit send, basically that will send this email with the document template converted to the PDF attached to that email. So once again, unfortunately we cannot bring templates across from WorkFlowMax via the API or the migration tool, but converting your existing WorkFlowMax templates to WorkGuru is relatively straightforward because it's functionally the same workflow. Once you start doing it, you'll probably find that it is much simpler to create WorkGuru templates because of the way our template functionality works. With your document template library setup, that's functionally all of the information that we require to be moved across from WorkFlowMax. From there, the final step will be to activate update and enable your users, which will send out to your team welcome emails for them to start accessing and using WorkGuru. If we go into administrator users, this is our admin list that has come across from Workflow Max. One of the key things you'll notice as we go into the users themselves, you'll see that they are not active, and the reason for that is it won't spam your users welcome email until you are ready to provide it to them. In the action section, we can go through and edit the particular user. One of the things or that WorkflowMax API has a limitation around it, can't basically break the user's first name and surname up. So one of the key things we'll need to do is basically move that over manually. And from there we can fill out any additional information that's not required. You'll see there is actually some more WorkGuru specific info here. We can put in a PIN number. This is for the WorkGuru kiosk, which we'll run through shortly, which is a tool available for teams to use to enter timesheets very efficiently. We can set them to a specific warehouse, which is a stock location if you're using the stock module, or a physical location if you're not. And unfortunately, the staff members' rates do not come across from WorkflowMax either. So this is one of the most important fields in WorkGuru to make sure is entered accurately to make sure that your project profitability is getting tracked correctly. So each user's hourly rate is applied by their timesheet. So the labor cost on projects is completely dependent on which staff members are actually working on that project. So another thing we'll need to do is either transfer over the staff users' rates if you have them in WorkflowMax, or revise them and enter updated ones if required. You can put in your capacity. So if you're working 8 hours a day for 5 days, you can put in your 40-hour a week capacity. The purchase order approval limit. This is a purchasing workflow function in that you can restrict the ability for people to approve purchase orders over a certain limit. So if you don't want people approving and issuing POs above, say, $500, you can actually put a $500 limit on that if you require. You can give staff members specific colors, which will display on the calendaring charts. And from there, you can either leave blank for a default password or issue each staff member a password. You can prompt to change their password next login. Highly recommend you just let WorkGuru automate this process by sending them an activation email, and then you can also mark them as active on SAD. Before we do that, we can go and assign them to a specific role. So unlike WorkflowMax, where you have to give each user individual permissions, what you can do in WorkGuru is actually define a role and then assign a user to a role. So I'll just save that without making it active for the time being, and then we can go into our admin roles. And you can see here we have default roles: administrator, client, and user. So these are designed to be renamed. You can also add additional roles that suit your particular business's hierarchy and workflow. So just as an example, if we go into the user role, which as you can see is set to the default, so every new user that you add to WorkGuru will inherit this role by default. I can rename that, and then on the second tab here, display permissions. So by default, no permissions means that user can just enter time against that particular jobs that they've been assigned to. What we'd recommend as a minimal permission is to be able to see the dashboard, and that will let them enter time directly from the browser if required. As you can see, it's a pretty detailed permission suite. It's a out of sight, out of mind style permission model where if you deselect permissions, they're just not visible in the user's login. So the sidebar, for example, if you don't have access to raise purchase orders, you do not see the purchase order menu at all in your sidebar. So create permissions as required. The main decision in regards to timesheet entry and permissions is whether staff can add timesheets to all projects and all tasks. This is very similar to WorkflowMax. Or can they only see the projects and staff tasks that they've been assigned to? So for example, if I say can add timesheets to all tasks, that basically allows that particular user to see all the tasks in all the projects that they've been added to. So back into the users, as you can see, a user can be part of multiple roles, and you'll get a concatenation of those particular roles if there's different functionality in the different roles. The other thing you can do is you can also set permissions for a specific user. So the permissions here, for example, will display the role that they've been assigned to, and you can actually turn on additional information as required. So for example, this particular user and only this user is allowed to see the products from that role group. Once you're happy that the user's been set up and assigned to the correct roles for their permissions for their workflow, the last thing would be to send the activation email and mark them as active. And that user will receive a welcome to WorkGuru email that will step them through their first login. So once you've enabled all your staff, everyone will have access to WorkGuru with the roles that you provided. And so they're basically from there, they're ready to start adding their time to the projects, either the ones they've been assigned to, or depending on permissions, they can add their time to any of the projects in the system. So that's a workflow decision. You can basically bring across the timesheet visibility, the project visibility, project task visibility, workflow or hierarchy is very similar to WorkflowMax. So it's quite simple to replicate the way the team have been working within WorkflowMax itself. In regards to users, how they enter timesheets into WorkGuru, there's a number of different ways to do it. If your users are browser-based, the main timesheet entry is from their dashboard, so it's similar to WorkflowMax. You can see there's a My Timesheets widget on their dashboard. This dashboard is completely customizable. Users can customize their own dashboards, or they can have a custom dashboard set by an administrator. But fundamentally, this My Timesheets widget is one of the defaults that everyone will have access to. And you can see a simple matter of clicking Add a Timesheet. And the timesheet entry is a hierarchical project task, exactly the same as what the staff are used to in WorkflowMax. Depending on my permissions, I can see projects and tasks. And then from there, it's a matter of entering time as required. The user interface is designed for touchscreens. As you can see, if I'm finishing at 5 o'clock, for example, I can click into the different blocks of time. Gives me 5-minute intervals, makes it super easy, or I can actually enter it with a keyboard if I need to. That will give me my length. I can write my notes as required, just the same as WorkflowMax, and hit save. Another option for browser-based users is the timer. So it'll be similar to the timer in WorkflowMax. I can again choose my project task hierarchy, And in this case, instead of entering time, I can literally hit green go to start a timer. And then when we finish that, you can see it's a simple matter of hitting end timesheet, and then I submit that timesheet if I'm writing the optional notes. So they're the browser-based options to enter time. The other tools we have available in WorkGuru is our mobile app. So we have Android and iOS applications available that the team can manage projects, clients, etc., but fundamentally is there to enter their time. You can see with the little addition UI here, I can choose to add timesheets again to my project task hierarchy as required. So there's a whole heap of different tools, again, designed to be easily used on via our devices. Simple to do. I can also review project information, etc., while I'm here as well. So I can click into projects themselves and enter time as required there. The final way of getting information into WorkGuru is what we call a kiosk. So this is a design for people that don't have access to individual devices. A kiosk is similar to a time clock. So a kiosk can provide a solution for multiple users in a shared device. So for example, similar to a time clock in a workshop. Basically, the advantage of the kiosk is it's super easy for the team to enter time in that they don't need to physically remember their username and password like they would if they're logging onto the browser or the mobile app. You can essentially click on yourself and log in with a simple PIN code of the length that you provide, which will allow them to essentially enter time as quickly as possible. So if you can see here, similar type of thing, add a timesheet. I have my project task breakdown, and then from there I can either start a timer or enter a particular timesheet in there. Similar type of user interface as the mobile app. Hours and minutes. And corresponding notes. If I was using the timer, I would click start timesheet, sorry, or I can enter it manually. So that's a workflow thing. And as you can see here, basically I can sign back in. It signs me out as soon as I've logged in, ready for the next person to sign into the particular job, project and task that they're accessing. And then we can go from there. There are additional fields available that are very workflow specific, so forms, tasks, to-dos, stock sales, timesheets, etc. So users can review their timesheets submitted through the kiosk, etc., from there. It'll show timesheets entered throughout any of the timesheet entry methods. So in summary, we've got our browser-based login, browser-based timesheets. We've got our timer, and our device-based, we have our mobile application and our kiosk. So a lot of different ways to best suit your workflow for your team to enter time into the system. The final step too is more of a project management function, is obviously if I have access to the project specifically, so this might be optional for a particular user. There's also a timesheet entry tool available. This is primarily designed to be used by project managers to enter time on behalf of other users as required. Okay, thanks. That concludes our third session. As you can see, throughout those 3 sessions, we've basically configured WorkGuru to suit your particular business. We've migrated the data from your Workflow Max and we've updated it to make it WorkGuru compatible. We've added and enabled your staff. So from here, it's basically ready to start using as soon as you're ready. Any questions, obviously connect to the support team at support@workguru.io. Obviously, our support portal is one of our primary support resources. That's support.workguru.io. That has all the information, essentially everything we've covered today and across the previous 3 sessions, is all covered through our support portal as well for reference. Thank you.